Hey everyone, welcome to Bucs UK TV. It's episode 140. Some of us are still a little bit tired from staying up to the early hours to watch whatever that game was against the Ravens. UK Ravens fans, hats off. Yes, you get the bragging rights. We know you did really well. It was not even close. I mean, statistically, potentially, Alex, let's start with you. I mean, you look at the stat line, you could argue it was close, but that was all garbage time, wasn't it?
Yes, I'll be honest. I don't know how we scored 31 points. I think I'm amazed we scored that many given the way that we played during the game. A difficult night for us Bucks fans for many reasons, which we'll come on to shortly, I'm sure. But a very difficult day at the office for many reasons on Monday night.
Yeah, so we'll try and dwell on the future and talk about the takeaways, what it means for the future. I think one thing we probably need to start with, John, is the furore around Godwin still playing versus hindsight being 2020. What's your take on that?
I mean, I'm well and truly in the camp of he should have been out of the game. I hear some people saying that the media would have sort of chastised him for giving up or perceived giving up. But I'm sorry, as a head coach, you've got to take responsibility and realize we're in this for the season, not in. This wasn't a playoff game, and the chances of coming back with a minute to go, down 10 points with no timeouts left, is slim to zero. And that would have been an ideal time for Kyle Trask and the other boys to be in.
Yeah, so limiting injury potential. Obviously, Evans out, Godwin out. What do you think we're going to be signing someone, John?
I mean, who's available? Like Marcos Valdes-Scantling,
Cooper Cup allegedly,
Well, the
trading for
cup's around, yeah, let's go
that
and get him.
that'd be trading for. I mean, we all know what he did to us a few years ago. So if he's cheap, why not?
Hmm.
Why not? We still have a playoff and potential Super Bowl roster. So if Cooper Cup is available at a good price, then why not? I'd be fully behind that one, especially as it's a Godwin type replacement. So I wasn't aware of that one, but yep, I'm all in favour of that.
Okay, so Marianna then, like, we're not going to dwell on this because we'll all slit our wrists and it'll be depressing. But in terms of takeaways, things that did work, things that we can build on for next week, it felt like the three-headed running monster at times felt like it was back again.
Yep. Let's build on the first quarter and ignore the other three. I think the first quarter we did seem to start running quite well, and we also got to Lamar multiple times, and I think we had like three sacks in one particular series. Took them back, on that. It was on about the first or second series where we knocked them back multiple times. So if we ignore the other three quarters, let's build on what we did right in the first quarter. As you say, the sort of three-headed running game looks like it's definitely got some, it's improving. We've got a choice of sort of playing the hot hand, which we like. I think if you look at the stats, they all had quite similar stats. Um, I think Tucker was, I think, marginally better running, but Rashad and you're on mute.
Sorry, Tucker was 5.8 a carry, Rashad 4 a carry, Irvin 2.6. It
Yeah,
wasn't the 11.3 yards a carry for Derrick Henry. Put it that way.
but I think yeah, Rashad and Irving both caught out of the
Mm.
backfield as well, which is going to be
Yeah.
really important moving forward. I think because they act as extra receivers. Cade Otton, there's another point that we need to build on because he's going to be really crucial. I think moving forward, he's going to be one of our key targets. With the likes of Evans and Godwin both being out for considerable time, Cade Otton is really going to have to step up.
I mean, he had
Um,
a 100-yard game on 8 receptions, 12.5 yards a carry, which is not too shabby for a tight end. I don't think,
yeah,
that's Gronk-esque in terms of average. They were downfield plays, not just sort of dump offs and safety releases.
yep, I think in terms of our pressure, Diaby and Winfield Jr. again getting to the quarterback and getting sacks. I think they're going to be, that's going to be crucial. I think particularly in the Atlanta game coming up. So I think there were some positives. We'll always find something positive to take away from the game.
And I think that's true. And John, a lot of the commentary was when it was talking about the Bucs was talking about Cohen and how great our head coach was to go and secure an offensive mind like him, and how hard it is to keep, replace, etc. Do you like the play calling? You know, does it look like there's steps forward or steps back on our offense?
I mean, compared with Canales of last year, he looks absolutely awesome. He's got the whole offense really singing, or did, with the weapons that we had before the game. Let's see what he can do on the. He now is a real test for him now. See if he can adjust his game planning with, as we know, it's going to be lesser receivers now.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be a real test, and if he shows the quality, then who knows if we can't promote him internally, because otherwise someone else will poach him.
Well, yeah, again, and if there were a few people as ever calling for Todd Bowles' head and saying he's the head coach elect, but it's probably somewhat premature. Alex, speaking of our esteemed head coach, let's pretend you are the head coach for a man. It's a short week. We've got a plan ahead. We won't come talk just about the Falcons, but in terms of what we need to focus on, what are the points of emphasis you think now for the rebuild, the recovery, the strengthening?
I mean, it's the obvious one. We've got to look at the receipt. We got to look at the wide receiver position. We have to. We've got three very good players in Shepherd, McMillan, um, and my mind has got and Palmer. There you go. My mind completely went there. Who are very good wide receiver threes. They're really sort of good in that position. But we now don't have Godwin is now gone for the season. We know that much. Evans, if it is his hamstring, we're looking potentially 6 to 8 weeks. We need someone to come in and fill that gap. That's got to be Jason Light and Todd Bowles' main focus going forward for the future. In the short term, it has to be. So it needs something there. That's for me is that main focus right now.
Cool. And Alex, we'll stick with you then, and we'll start to talk about the Falcons. We know the Falcons are atop the division. They are the team that I think a lot of people said they were overrated. A lot of people said they were underrated. We've had this discussion before because we played them last time, and it went to overtime, coin toss. We were all there. We still bear the scars. But the Falcons this time are coming into Tampa, and they won't be the only people coming into Tampa. Tell us a bit more about what's happening in Tampa.
Very exciting little bit of news for Tampa. Absolutely. So we've got a very mini Bucs UK trip happening this Sunday. We've got about 20 to 25 members who and their families who are heading over for the game, and we're going to be meeting up with Bucs Germany as well prior to the game around the stadium. So everyone will see us around there for the game, and come and say hi if you see us. We're all friendly people. Be nice to have a chat and see you all. So yeah, a nice little exciting thing happening.
Brilliant. And anyone that was in the Hofbrauhaus in Munich will know what happens when you team up with Bucs Germany. So I wish you the very best. Keep saline onto hand and just fluids throughout. You'll be fine. But that'd be really good. Yeah, and obviously we'll be nice and loud in our corner, all sitting together in a group. That'd be fantastic. So let's come on to talk about the game. Marianna, I say the Falcons. You don't always know what you're going to get, but when we played them, they looked pretty polished, didn't they?
Yeah, I was just looking back earlier at the stats, and we absolutely have got to do something about stopping them being able to pass for as many yards as they did. Kirk Cousins had 42 of 58 and 500 and something yards, and
well, that's better than only 5 incompletions that we had this week. So
yeah, so I think. And looking at how we played against the Ravens, again, we're playing a very different team because we've not got as mobile a quarterback. And I think this is why a lot of fans are kind of turning on Todd Bowles a little bit. We know that we play a very aggressive defense and we blitz a lot. But it's starting to kind of work against us a little bit. Teams know that we're going to blitz, and what we do on the secondary is we drop back into this sort of zone prevent, and then we leave the middle of the field wide open. And we got burnt yesterday heavily by like running through us, because there's no one in that sort of second. Once you get past that first tackle, there's no one else there to bring anyone down. So that's when you see someone like Henry go for 30 odd yards running through us. Likewise, when Lamar is able to break out. So obviously Atlanta is going to be a different game because we don't have that worry of, Cousins is not going to go on on those runs, but he's got a very good tight end in Kyle Pitts, and we
He probably
always lose
underperformed
those
last
tight
time, didn't
ends
he?
in that
Yeah.
space. And we've also got Robinson and Algier as two very good running backs that will also eat us alive in that situation as well. So I almost want to say to Todd Bowles, don't be quite so aggressive, or if you are, try something different than where we're not dropping everything then right far back. So, maybe try instead instead of going all out, let's have like something a bit more exotic, like a safety blitz or something, so that we can keep some of that linebacker sort of level and keep some of that second level, because I just think we're opening up that middle, and I think Cousins will eat us up if we do that. He will have an absolute field day hitting like slant passes in there, hitting Kyle Pitts in that sort of tight end spot, and Bijan and Alger will just run through us.
It's a good point. I think you're right. And Antoine Winfield did have success, I think, blitzing as well. But John, do you think that's right? Do we need to dial down the aggression?
You got to mix it up. Like Kirk Cousins is such an accomplished quarterback that he's seen it all. He's been in the league for what, a decade, best part of a decade now. So yeah, he's well accomplished at reading those blitzes, changing Robinson or London or anyone to a quick hot read and picking us apart. Which is what, again, the touchdown in overtime was that little hot read. The receiver subbing in at the time, made that quick stop.
Watch out for anyone rubbing their hands at the line. That was always my cue.
There you go.
Rubbing their hands, cover them.
You know more than some of our defense at times, I guess.
I mean, Alex, it's a fair point. What they're saying in terms of dialing back the aggression or having a more balanced approach. I think how tricksy do we need to be? Because I think there was some success with like combination blitzes and things, but it felt like actually, if we try and match up man to man, this is not an insignificant offensive line. Not a bad set of receivers either. We haven't talked about them, but Atlanta's a very balanced offense. I think, it depends about, any good, wherever you blitz from that's where you attack. If you're getting the pressure, you'll do the draw plays and the screen passes. It's kind of pick your poison. So what does our poison need to be on defense?
I think John and Marianna have pretty much summarized it already. Yeah, we need to mix it up. Kirk Cousins is very good at reading defenses. He's a veteran quarterback in this league, and he did show against us in particular a few weeks ago that when you give him that time and you show him what you're going to do, he will pick you apart. I think I agree with I agree with John and Marianne. I think we really need to mix it up. Make
who are the
Cousins
key players then
comfortable as we can.
who are the key players for the Bucs then on D to implement that? We've talked in the past
I mean,
about Bayer, for example.
Winfield's back.
Yeah,
he wasn't playing in the first time.
He's Bayer and Winfield, of course, but for me, I think we've got to look at people like Diaby as well. His quickness, as those hands, especially on Monday. He got the sack because of his quickness with his hands and his feet there, so we know how important he can be. Winfield's been mentioned many times. We know how good he is. So I think those edge rushers could be really, really important to try and collapse that pocket. There is obviously question marks over JTS, but on his day he's good, but then you can say that about any player. But if those edge rushers, I think, could be really, really key.
I'll throw out a name. I think McCollum's going to be our key, because you're looking at someone like Drake London, who's going to be tough to cover. I can see that McCollum's going to have to be right at the top of his game as well. He had a bit of a iffy sort of good moment, bad moment on Monday night. He got burnt very badly on one play, and then he had a great sort of takeaway and pulled about half a dozen players with him over the line. I know it got pulled back, but so we can see him. He's definitely grown from where he was, but he's going to be absolutely crucial to be top of his game, especially with Dean still out.
Yeah, like I say, he's running hot and cold, and that there's a world of difference from being CB1 from being CB2, isn't it? Otherwise, you're covering the best receiver on the field otherwise, and that's always going to be hard. And again, in terms of who goes into the slot, traditionally that's a third cornerback, isn't it? But after McCollum and Funderburk, it kind of starts looking a bit thin. So you might see, I guess, Tyke Smith, or if he's around, or Christian Izzian maybe stepping in there instead.
Yeah, I could see it being easy, and I'm not sure if Tyke Smith, because he had concussion issues, and if it's a short week, he may not even be back after that. We don't want to be rushing players back from concussion. That's like my hot topic. I
I know.
don't like to see players rush back from concussion.
10,000 words of data later, right? We believe you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's flip to the other side of the ball then. Start with you then, John. How are we going to win this game? How are we going to score?
Well, I just want to bring props to the O-line. Last 2 weeks, we're all spoken about Bucky, Rashard, and Sean Tucker. But for me, like Graham Barton as a rookie, he's shown to be an absolute stud.
His absence has been notable in that sense. We haven't seen him messing up. We haven't seen him getting called.
Exactly. And the centre is such a difficult position for a rookie. He's the one doing the calls, making the adjustments. And he did an absolutely spectacular job picking up blitzes. So yeah, him and the O-line, Wirfs and the other boys will have to lead us from the front.
Yeah, a rare holding play on Wirfs. I think he's probably going to have a chip on his shoulder this week.
Well, I mean, I disagree with that call. That should have been 14-0, to be honest. That was that wouldn't have been holding anywhere else. Would have very rarely been holding. And Bill Belichick said it on the Manningcast apparently, that he completely disagreed with it. So if Belichick says it, then it must be right.
Said no one ever whilst he was coaching. However,
commentating, yeah, clearly knows what he's talking about, especially when it's telling the Bucs that they're doing all right.
Cool. Okay, so Alex, so we've talked about the players. So what about the plays? What plays do you think we should be calling then to try and get those players into space and effective? Include in brackets, not a run up the gut.
Not a run up the gut, absolutely. I think I'm not quite gonna go Gary Bottley-esque here, but certainly these trick play. I'm not saying a flea flicker, but I mean, we look at Bucky Irving and the runs he's been making. And again, he did it on Monday, where he went. I think he went all the way to the right hand side, realized there was nothing there, cut all the way back, and made about 8 or 9 yards or something. So I think any sort of play to the edge, I think will be vital. And I know I've not been on for a while, but certainly last season I kept banging on about these short underneath passes into the middle of the field. I think what Liam Cohen has done so far as OC has been outstanding. I really, really like him as an offensive coordinator. But there was a few times where on the third down when it's been I don't know, it's been 3rd and 2, for example, and he's dialed up a big play to try and get Evans into the end zone or something. Just dial up those short yardage just to keep the drive moving. So for me, those are the two things I want to see: running plays out wide and passing plays underneath passing plays into that middle area of the field.
Yeah, I think my observation of the play calling is sometimes where we fell short was where we tried to pass on first down, then had an incompletion, then found a running play on second down that didn't get us enough yards, that then left us in 3rd and long. And that's where it's harder to do those sorts of things. Marianna, Cade, we know we want to get him involved. How are we going to get the ball to Cade Otton?
I mean, Alex is 100%. I think with this sort of these underneath passes, these sort of passes, exactly where I'm sort of saying we get burnt. I think this is where we're going to have to check it down a lot more. I think we almost overran a little bit. I think also on Monday night. we almost kind of went, yeah, we've got this run game, let's use it to death. And I think we would go run on first, run on second, and then find ourselves in third and long sometimes. So I think we're going to have to rely on the run. We haven't got much choice, but I think the key thing is that if it doesn't work, maybe on that first go, let's try a little underneath pass, a little dump off, and let's use Rashard. Let's use that sort of ability that Rashard has catching out of the backfield, because that's also that sort of 3, 4, 5 yards distance that we really want to make. So it's going to be a lot of dump off to Rashard, dump off to K Dotton, and I think we may have to play a couple of like 2 tight end sets, so that which tight end are we going to? Because otherwise it's going to be obvious that K Dotton's the target.
It's not Pay Durham.
Yeah.
It might be Coach Keith's at a push.
So we're going to have to disguise it a bit. I'm just my real concern is Jalen McMillan going to step out, because he's going to have to play like an outsider wide receiver 1 almost. So
that's what I was going to say for you, John. It feels like what we're saying is the creamsicle candlestick alive. This is going to be West Coast Bucs. It sounds like dink dunk down the field. What that's going to lead up to a very bunched field, a very compressed defense. Do we need to go over the top? Do we need to stretch them? What's the answer to stopping getting all bunched up?
I mean, you just stick Trey Palmer in the Mike Evans role. He actually showed some really good stuff on film last year as a rookie. He'll slot in there quite happily, and even if he doesn't, he won't do exactly the same job, but he will stretch the field. Sterling Shepard's been around the league a long time. He can be that slot guy, leaving Jalen McMillan on the other side. So again, roam around a bit. And these 3 guys are very capable. And yeah, they've got to step up. Cohen's got to find a way to
not get injured, because it's very thin after that.
Don't even joke about that again.
In fact, I'm not even sure who is the next one up.
I've got the roster up. There isn't anyone. Jalen, Sterling, Mike, Trey, Chris. That's it. 5 receivers, because we wanted to carry 4 tight ends and 3 running backs. So
I would guess we'll definitely be making some changes in the week, if not elevating people from practice squad or
I think so.
Something else. So it'll be interesting to. I still think there's a chance that we could pick someone up in a trade. I'm not seeing. I think watching a fair bit of the Giants as I do, and having a look at the rumours. I did see that one of the rumours of a wide receiver that's available is Darius Slayton, and having seen him play when Daniel Jones had a good year, he's a deep threat, he's fast, and he wouldn't cost a lot. I think we'd probably get him for like a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick, some sort of cheapish trade. So that's where I could see us picking up someone like that. I can't. To my mind, I just don't see us picking up a big name wide receiver like a Cooper Kupp, as much as, to be honest, at this moment, I think I'd like him. But I could see us picking up someone like that sort of Darius Slayton type, who can make those deep plays as well, so that we've got someone to rotate in should someone go down, or just to rotate those players.
I think the other thing that could be important, and I'm going to say this, is special teams. But so before we get to our score predictions, so get your fingers and thumbs out. John, I think we've settled the Gil Kamada debate. It sounds like for now, because Gil's back in vogue again. Chase, I think we can forgive a missed field goal into the wind from a bajillion yards. But how important is special teams going to be for the Falcons?
I mean, they know they're going to have to do their job. If it's as doom and gloom as we fear it might be, every scoring opportunity is going to need to be taken. So the kicker's got to do their jobs, and then if we do have to punt, they're going to have to turn back.
I think last time the Falcons demonstrated with Koo's unheard of misses plural against the Bucs that actually that game could have should have not been into overtime if Koo was Koo, and I think we need Chase to be Chase. Exactly as you say. All right. Okay, Alex, money where your mouth this time. You're going to be there, so you get to go first. What's it going to be?
Ah, um, I'll give us the win. I'll give us the win, but I'll keep it short and sweet. 27-24 Bucks.
Interesting. Okay. Mariana, cautious optimism from Alex.
Yeah, my my heart and head are struggling here, but I objectively will never I will never predict a loss for us. So I'm still gonna predict us a win because I'm that hopeless optimist. I think we're gonna have to keep it a low scoring game though, because I don't see us necessarily scoring a lot of points. So I'm going to say 17-14.
Oh, that's what I've got written down. But
Sorry.
but but spoilers, my one's the other way round. I think we're going to keep it close for three quarters, but we are going to get worn down. There's going to be receivers puffing on face masks. There's going to be linebackers that are getting exhausted because of the amount of time they've probably been on the field if we can't sustain drives. I see us keeping it close until the very end when I think Koo's probably going to have a grudge. And he's going to want to boot it from about 78 yards, probably. You heard it here first. So I think the other way around, but I always predict that knowing that I'm going to get it wrong. So that's perfect. So that's my reverse psychology. Sorry, John. So you can get to have the final word.
I like the reverse psychology angle. Let's stick with that then. No, as Marianna says, it's head versus heart. The heart says Baker comes out and just makes amends and does it for the Gipper, so to speak, and gives us like a 30-27 win. The head, unfortunately, is much more dire and probably something like a 35-25 loss or something like a 10. Unfortunately, it's horrible, but I'd love Baker to come out and just prove that he can do it with anyone on the team.
And I guess we've got a brutal stretch of games that, not least then includes people like the 49ers and, others. But how important is this one? Because this is divisional.
This is it. I said on the forum and messages to people last night. I can see this game actually being the division decider.
Mm.
If we win this game, we win the division, get to the playoffs. If we lose this game, probably second, realistically speaking.
And it's a hard fight for the wild card in the NFC. We know that.
I mean, if we look at the situation, like the predictions pre-season, we always said this part of the season was our tough part, and I think the predictions from trying to remember back to what you guys predicted, we never expected to beat the Ravens. We kind of didn't really expect to beat the Chiefs. We don't expect to beat the 49ers. This is the one game that we kind of picked out as the one that I don't know whether we'd say expect to win, but need to win. Because if we do lose those three, I think this is going to be the one, as John says, that is going to be really crucial to the division. So let's just win this one for the division and not worry about the fact that, yeah, we've got some injuries, but they're in a period where we didn't expect to win 3 games anyway out of 4. So maybe it's the right time for those injuries to happen so that players have a bit of time to heal and come back.
That's the ultimate in reverse psychology. I love that. The right time for injuries to happen.
Yeah.
While we're just waiting for the Saints to implode further and whatever the Panthers are doing to actually become, known to humanity. We shall see. Cool. Okay. Thanks, guys. So you've heard our take on this. Let us have your take. As I said last week, comments are now enabled on Spotify, so you can carry on the conversation there as well as on YouTube and all the social media platforms. Marianna, give a little plug for TikTok. We're on TikTok now. We're with the cool kids, aren't we?
Yeah, we're trying to get down with the cool kids. We've got we're trying to make some regular posts. We'd love for the other members to send us some additional content. So I'll probably be posting on the forum a bit more about requesting some extra content. But yeah, we're
just don't
now
expect to see us dancing or anything like that just yet. We're not quite there yet. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you, Alex, John, Marianna. Thank you guys for watching. After this short week, we will see you next week. Hopefully, Alex won't be sunburnt, but he can tell us about the win that he got to see in person. Until then, go Bucs!
Go Bucks!
But
Go Bucks.